Greetings from the School of Food Engineering, University of Campinas, Brazil. I am immensely pleased, honored, and humbled to receive the IFOS Lifetime Achievement Award. Many thanks to those who nominated me, those who supported my nomination, the IFOS board, the awards committee for choosing me for this prestigious award. Let me share with you a brief account of the professional journey that led me to this award. It was not smooth and easy. I was able to make many contributions to the advancement of food science and technology. But today, I will focus on the two that I think are the most important: capacity building and applied research. At this university, I taught undergraduate and graduate food analysis and food chemistry. I was advisor of 24 master's theses, 24 doctoral theses, and 15 undergraduate research. I was chairman of the Department of Food Science and overall coordinator of the graduate programs in food science, food technology, food engineering, and nutritional sciences. In these two positions, I dedicated time and effort to uphold high standards for our undergraduate and graduate courses. But I was not limited to activities in this university. I gave numerous refresher courses focalizing on recent developments in food science and technology all over Brazil, to students and professors of other universities, to researchers of research institutes, and to the technical staff of food industry. Being an advocate of research in developing countries, I also trained young scientists so that they could do the research competently. I gave 15-day to 1 month intensive courses with lecture and laboratory classes in Latin America, Asia, and Africa. I also received in my laboratory graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, researchers, and professors to be trained especially in carotenoid analysis. And these trainees were coming from Argentina, Mexico, Chile, Panama, South Africa, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and even from Canada and Portugal. Talking about research now, we have to remember that third world scientists have to cope with many problems. Among them, and probably the most difficult, is limited funds and lack of infrastructure. Add to that the high costs of equipment and reagents, which are mostly imported, and also maintenance and technical assistance. As part of the proposal for funding, we have to explain that our project has relevance for the country's development and important for society. So basically, we do applied research. I coordinated 25 finance research projects, but today I'm going to showcase two inter-university projects. One, mycotoxins, incidence, prevention, and control, and food carotenoids, chemical, technological, nutritional, and health aspects. For both of these projects, we had a strong analytical component, developing analytical methods and evaluating the accuracy of these methods. For mycotoxins, Using the methods that we have adapted and applied, we surveyed Brazilian foods to find out which ones are more susceptible to mycotoxin contamination and what are the factors that promote or inhibit the contamination. As extension of this research, together with professors from other universities, researchers from institutes, we organized the National Program for the Prevention and Control of Mycotoxins. We organized meetings, workshops with food producers, food processors, especially the quality control section, food regulators, and researchers, all geared towards the prevention, the mitigation of mycotoxin contaminations in Brazilian food. I started the carotenoid research in Brazil and is principally responsible for the extensive food database on carotenoids. We investigated the wide diversity of fruits and vegetables rich in carotenoids in Brazil. Aside from determining the carotenoid composition, we studied the factors that influence the composition, the effects of processing and storage, the factors that influence on the stability of carotenoids, since these components are highly unstable, the chemical reactions that are involved in the degradation, microencapsulation as a means of stabilizing the carotenoids, and also microbial production of carotenoids. We extended this research to include other health promoting components of foods, such as flavonoids. Recognition of the importance of our research came in terms of invitations and consultations. I was invited to participate in several FAO WHO expert consultation meetings on such subjects as conservation of biodiversity and capacity building for food safety. In Brazil, I was a member of the Advisory Committee in Food Science and Technology of the National Council for Scientific and Technological Advancement. I was also a member of technical advisory committees of the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of the Environment. Through all of this, I had to cope with a formidable obstacle: prejudice. Prejudice against science and education in developing countries, prejudice against the so-called third world scientists, prejudice against women scientists. There was this food scientist from a developed country who, every time we encountered, would draw the discussion to education, to assert vehemently that education in food science and technology in Brazil had low standards. I really didn't understand what his motive was, but I was sure that his allegation was not true. I was member and later coordinator of the Commission for Higher Education in Food Science and Technology of the Ministry of Education, with the mandate that we evaluate and rank graduate courses in Brazil and promote high standards. I also was a member of the committee that evaluated undergraduate courses. I was barred from becoming a member of the steering committee of a international program for combating vitamin A deficiency in developing countries by two influential first world scientists because I was a troublemaker. That was because I dared to question strategies proposed by first world scientists. But even people from developing countries are biased against third world scientists. Harvest Plus asked me to give 15-day training courses, hands-on, lecture and laboratory, to researchers from all over the world on carotenoid analysis. These courses were held in Brazil for researchers from around the world, in Tanzania for African researchers, and China for Asian researchers. On arrival in Brazil, a researcher from a developing country emphatically asked why the course was being held in Brazil. It should have been held in a US or a European laboratory. The Harvest Plus coordinator simply said, "This is the leading laboratory in carotenoid analysis in the world." Then, while lecturing in a developing country, I was confronted by somebody who was not even part of the audience with the question, "What does a Latin American woman know that our best researchers don't already know?" I was told in no uncertain terms that my research papers would not be published, or if published, would not be cited, and my books would not be bought and read because I do not belong to the first world. Thanks to my tenacity, I turned those devastating comments and attitudes as incentive to perform even better. So today, I have 256 scientific publications, mostly in international circulation, books, book chapters, research and review papers in index international journals, several of which got into the most cited list. My total citation in the international literature now exceeds 15,700. A book published in 1999, reprinted in 2001, entitled A Guide to Carotenoid Analysis in Foods, is still cited 20 years after its publication. It now has 2,300 citations. It is used and cited not only by food scientists, but also by scientists in agriculture, nutrition, biology, chemistry, and the medical sciences. At a food database conference in Rome in 1999, where I had active participation, coordinating a session, presenting research papers, giving a lecture, and participating in discussions, I was told that Latin American participants were saying that they were proud that I was representing Latin America. Asians were asserting that being a Filipina, I represented Asia too. And Africans were also saying that since I had worked with them for a long time at that point, that also I was representing Africa. Then women from developed and developing countries were thanking me for ably representing women scientists. It was then that I realized that my unwritten mandate was really formidable. So, in closing, I would like to dedicate this award to developing countries' food scientists, women scientists. I hope that I have represented you well. Thank you all for your kind attention.